Welcome, dear seekers of the eerie and the unexplained, to Whispers in the Dark, your sanctuary for all things haunting and mysterious. In a world where the mundane often overshadows the mystical, we stand as torchbearers illuminating the path to the unknown, delving deep into realms where reality blurs with nightmare. Here, amidst the flickering glow of our screens and the hum of restless curiosity, we invite you to step beyond the veil of the ordinary and explore the chilling depths of Louisiana's most haunted road. Tonight marks the second installment of our spine-tingling series, Most Haunted Road in Louisiana. Over the course of this journey, we will traverse through time and space, uncovering the dark secrets and spectral whispers that linger along this infamous stretch of asphalt. From abandoned towns to ghost-ridden swamps, each location is steeped in history and shrouded in tales too unsettling to be forgotten. These are not mere urban legends whispered in hushed tones or folklore spun to entertain. No, these are documented encounters, real people, real places, and real horrors that have left indelible marks on those who dared to witness them. As storytellers, our mission is clear: to peel back the layers of fear and fascination, crafting an atmosphere thick with suspense and intrigue. We aim not only to recount these tales but to immerse you in their chilling depths, making every creak of the floorboards and whisper in the dark feel as though it's happening right beside you. With every word, we strive to evoke the same visceral reactions felt by those who lived through these harrowing events, those fleeting moments when the impossible becomes undeniable. So, dear viewers and listeners, prepare yourselves for a journey into the abyss. Here, in the dim glow of your screens, we invite you to open your minds, and perhaps brace your hearts, as we reveal the terrifying truths hidden within the folds of reality. Welcome to a world where the past whispers, the present trembles, and the future remains shrouded in mystery. Let's step into the darkness together, where every shadow might just conceal more than any one bargained for. In this episode, we will uncover the haunted tapestry of Louisiana's storied past. Each tale is a thread woven into the fabric of local lore, echoing through the ages and beckoning us to listen closely. Join us as we embark on this chilling odyssey, exploring the eerie corridors of haunted locations that continue to captivate and terrify. Stay tuned, for the shadows hold many secrets, and the night is young. The Phantom Hitchhiker of Route 13, a journey into the unknown. Deep in the heart of rural Louisiana lies Route 13, a desolate stretch of road notorious not only for its winding paths and sparse lighting but also for the spectral figure that reportedly haunts its lonely stretches. This tale begins with Sarah Thompson, a seasoned truck driver whose nocturnal journeys often took her through this eerie landscape. Known for her meticulous record-keeping and a dash cam that never slept, Sarah's routine drive one fateful November evening turned into an ordeal she would never forget. As Sarah recounted in her viral YouTube testimony, the initial signs of the haunting came subtly. Around midnight, her dashcam captured a fleeting shadow darting across the road ahead. Initially dismissing it as a trick of the light against the dense fog, Sarah continued her journey. Minutes later, the radio, which had been playing a soft jazz station, began to emit static interspersed with faint, indistinct whispers. Disturbed yet determined, Sarah adjusted the frequency, only for the whispers to grow louder, almost pleading. The true confrontation occurred approximately 20 miles down the road. The dashcam footage shows a figure, clad in tattered clothing reminiscent of early 20th century attire, standing motionless at the roadside. Its face, obscured by the brim of an old hat, was tilted slightly towards Sarah's approaching vehicle. Despite her honking and flashing lights, the figure remained stationary until the last moment when it suddenly raised a hand in a gesture that was both a wave and a warning. Compelled by a mix of fear and curiosity, Sarah slowed down, eventually stopping a few feet away from the figure. In a decision she described as not entirely her own, she rolled down her window and called out, asking if the person needed help. The response, or lack thereof, was chilling. The figure simply stood there, its head now fully bowed, before slowly fading into the mist as if dissolving into the cold night air. Sarah's dashcam recorded every second of the interaction, capturing not only the visual disappearance, but also an abrupt silence that followed, contrasting sharply with the previous cacophony of whispers and static. When she reviewed the footage later, Sarah noticed something that sent chills down her spine: a reflection in her rearview mirror showing the figure sitting silently in her passenger seat during the moments she had been addressing it outside. This incident sparked widespread interest and speculation. Paranormal experts who examined the footage suggested that the entity might be a residual spirit, trapped in a loop of its final moments. Others hypothesized that it could be a malevolent presence, using illusions to lure unsuspecting travelers off the road. Regardless of the interpretation, Sarah's encounter with the phantom hitchhiker of Route 13 stands as a stark reminder of the thin veil between our world and the unknown. Her story, supported by undeniable footage, continues to captivate audiences, serving as both a chilling narrative and a cautionary tale for those who dare to travel the lonely roads after dark. It underscores the reality that sometimes, the most horrifying moments are not those we imagine, but those that are undeniably caught on camera, challenging our very perceptions of reality and the supernatural. The Cursed Cabin of Bayou Lafourche. A place where shadows linger. Nestled along the murky waters of Bayou Lafourche lies a secluded cabin that has earned a reputation as one of the most haunted dwellings in Louisiana. Known locally as the Hollow, the cabin's origins are shrouded in mystery, with records suggesting it was built in the late 19th century by a reclusive woodsman named Ezekiel Halloway. According to legend, Ezekiel was a deeply superstitious man who dabbled in occult practices, using the cabin as a sanctuary for rituals aimed at communing with the spirit world. His experiments allegedly attracted malevolent forces, and upon his death, the cabin became a focal point for paranormal activity. The cabin's cursed reputation gained widespread attention in the 1970s, when a family rented the property for a summer getaway. What began as an idyllic retreat quickly devolved into a nightmare. Within days of moving in, the family reported strange occurrences, objects moving on their own, disembodied footsteps echoing through the halls, and an oppressive atmosphere that made sleep nearly impossible. The youngest child, a boy named Ethan, claimed to see shadowy figures lurking in the corners of the cabin, their glowing eyes watching him intently. His parents dismissed his claims as the product of an overactive imagination, but the disturbances escalated. One particularly harrowing night, the family gathered in the living room to watch a movie. Their nanny cam, positioned to monitor the children's playroom, captured something that would change their lives forever. The timestamp on the footage read 9:47 p.m. The camera angle was fixed, offering a wide view of the brightly lit room. Toys sat untouched, the air was still, and the faint hum of the heating system provided the only sound. Then, without warning, the door creaked open, though no one was near it. A shadow, tall and humanoid in shape, slipped into the frame. It moved with deliberate slowness, its form shifting unnaturally as though it were made of smoke rather than flesh. The shadow paused by the toy chest, extended an arm-like appendage, and then vanished as abruptly as it had appeared. When the family reviewed the footage the following morning, disbelief quickly gave way to dread. The shadow was unlike anything they had ever seen, its movements too fluid and purposeful to be explained away as a trick of light or shadow. Panic set in as they realized the entity had entered their home while they were mere feet away, oblivious to its presence. Over the next few weeks, the shadow grew bolder. It began appearing in multiple rooms, always captured by the cameras but never witnessed directly by the family. The nursery camera once recorded it standing over Ethan's crib, its featureless head tilted downward as though studying the sleeping child. Another clip showed it lingering in the kitchen, its form elongating unnaturally as it stretched toward the refrigerator before dissipating. Each appearance left the family more shaken, their sense of safety eroding with every passing day. Desperate for answers, the father reached out to a local paranormal investigator, Dr. Laura Bennett, whose expertise lay in analyzing unexplained phenomena. Dr. Bennett arrived at the cabin armed with EMF detectors, thermal imaging cameras, and a healthy dose of skepticism. After setting up her equipment, she conducted a thorough sweep of the property. The results were inconclusive at first, but during a nighttime vigil, her thermal camera captured something extraordinary. The footage showed a heat signature moving through the hallway, its shape unmistakably humanoid. Unlike the shadowy figure from the nanny cam, this entity emitted a cold aura, registering well below ambient temperature on the thermal scale. It paused outside Ethan's bedroom door, lingered for several seconds, and then disappeared. Dr. Bennett noted that the entity seemed to avoid direct contact with the family, instead observing them from a distance. She theorized that it might be an intelligent spirit, bound to the cabin for reasons unknown. Despite Dr. Bennett's efforts, the shadow's appearances continued. The family tried everything to rid themselves of the intruder, smudging the cabin with sage, rearranging furniture to disrupt energy flows, and even consulting a medium. Nothing worked. The shadow remained a constant, silent presence, its motives as inscrutable as its origin. Eventually, the strain became unbearable. The mother began experiencing vivid nightmares, waking up in tears with no memory of what she had dreamed. Ethan refused to sleep alone, claiming that the man in the dark was watching him. Even the father, who had initially dismissed the phenomenon as stress-induced paranoia, found himself unable to shake the feeling that something malevolent was sharing their home. The breaking point came one stormy night. The power went out, plunging the cabin into darkness. As the family huddled together in the living room, the baby monitor crackled to life. On the small screen, the shadow loomed large, its form pulsating as though alive. It reached toward the camera, its movements jerky and aggressive. Then, the screen went black. Terrified, the family fled the cabin that night, leaving behind everything except their most essential belongings. They rented a temporary apartment and placed the property on the market, hoping to sever ties with the entity once and for all. The cabin sold quickly, but the new owners reported similar disturbances within weeks of moving in. Today, the family refuses to speak publicly about their ordeal, fearing ridicule or worse. However, the nanny cam footage remains, a chilling testament to the shadow that walked alone. Experts who have studied the recordings remain divided. Some believe the entity is a residual haunting, a fragment of energy trapped in time. Others argue it is an intelligent spirit, possibly malevolent, drawn to the emotional turmoil of the family. Whatever the truth, one thing is certain: the shadow at the Bayou Lafourche cabin is a reminder that some mysteries are better left unsolved. The Whispering Swamp, a descent into madness nestled deep within the bayous of southern Louisiana, lies a sprawling expanse of wilderness known locally as the Whispering Swamp. Spanning thousands of acres of dense cypress trees, murky waters, and winding trails, the area has long been a haven for hunters, nature enthusiasts, and adventurers seeking solitude. Yet beneath its serene exterior lies a dark secret, one whispered about in hushed tones by locals and dismissed by outsiders as mere superstition. But for those who dare to venture too far into its depths, the swamp reveals a side that defies logic and sanity. The story begins with Ethan Cole, a seasoned backpacker and amateur videographer who prided himself on exploring the most remote and untouched corners of the natural world. Ethan had heard the legends surrounding the Whispering Swamp, tales of hunters vanishing without a trace, strange noises echoing through the trees, and an overwhelming sense of dread that enveloped anyone who lingered too long. Skeptical but intrigued, Ethan decided to document his journey through the swamp, hoping to either debunk the myths or uncover something extraordinary. Equipped with a GoPro strapped to his chest, a GPS tracker, and a sturdy hiking pack, Ethan set out on a crisp autumn morning. The early footage captures the beauty of the swamp in vivid detail: golden leaves carpeting the ground, sunlight filtering through the canopy, and the gentle rustle of the wind. Ethan narrates his progress with enthusiasm, his voice steady and confident as he describes the terrain and shares tidbits of local lore. "They call it the Whispering Swamp because of the sound the wind makes as it moves through the trees," he explains. "But I've got a feeling there's more to it than that." For the first few hours, Ethan's trek proceeds without incident. He stops periodically to film landmarks: a cascading stream, a moss-covered rock formation, and a clearing bathed in sunlight. However, as he ventures deeper into the swamp, subtle changes begin to occur. The temperature drops noticeably, despite the bright sun overhead. The chirping of birds fades into silence, replaced by an eerie stillness that feels unnatural. And then, there are the whispers. At first, they are faint, barely audible murmurs carried on the breeze. Ethan pauses, tilting his head as if trying to discern their source. "Probably just the wind," he mutters, though his tone betrays a hint of unease. But as he continues walking, the whispers grow louder and more distinct. They seem to come from all directions, overlapping and unintelligible, yet undeniably human in origin. Ethan's camera captures his growing discomfort. His steps quicken, and his narration becomes sporadic, punctuated by nervous laughter. By late afternoon, the whispers have evolved into a cacophony, drowning out all other sounds. Ethan's GPS device begins malfunctioning, its signal flickering erratically before dying altogether. Panic sets in as he realizes he is lost, the familiar trail markers nowhere to be found. The camera footage becomes increasingly disorienting, the frame jostling as Ethan stumbles through the underbrush. His breathing grows labored, and his voice cracks as he pleads for the whispers to stop. "What do you want from me?" he shouts into the void, his words swallowed by the relentless din. The climax of Ethan's ordeal occurs as daylight begins to wane. The camera captures a narrow path leading to a cluster of ancient, gnarled trees whose branches twist skyward like skeletal fingers. In the center of the clearing stands a crude stone altar, its surface stained with what appears to be dried blood. Surrounding it are dozens of weathered carvings, symbols and runes that defy translation. Ethan hesitates, his body trembling as he approaches the altar. The whispers crescendo into a deafening roar, and the camera shakes violently as Ethan collapses to his knees. "I see them," he gasps, his voice barely audible over the noise. "They're everywhere." The final seconds of the footage show Ethan staring directly into the lens, his eyes wide with terror. Behind him, shadowy figures emerge from the trees, their forms indistinct but undeniably humanoid. The screen cuts to black as the camera falls to the ground. Ethan's disappearance sparked a massive search effort, but no trace of him was ever found. The recovered footage, uploaded posthumously by his family, has since become a subject of intense scrutiny. Experts who analyze the symbols carved into the altar suggest they may belong to an obscure pagan cult that once inhabited the region. Others propose that the swamp itself harbors a malevolent force, feeding on the fear and confusion of those who enter. Regardless of the explanation, the Whispering Swamp remains a place of mystery and dread. Hunters who stray too far from marked trails report hearing the same whispers that plagued Ethan, while others claim to have seen shadowy figures lurking among the trees. The forest, it seems, does not relinquish its secrets easily, and those who dare to uncover them may find themselves paying the ultimate price. The Midnight Train, a journey beyond the living in the heart of New Orleans, where the city's skyline pierces the heavens and the streets buzz with ceaseless activity, lies a tale that has woven itself into the fabric of urban legend, the story of the Midnight Train. This spectral locomotive, shrouded in mystery and whispered about in hushed tones, is said to traverse the abandoned railways that snake through the city's underbelly, carrying with it the echoes of a tragic past. The legend speaks of a train that appears only at the stroke of midnight, gliding silently along tracks long forsaken by modern transit. Its origins trace back to the early 20th century, a time when railroads were the lifelines of commerce and communication. On a fateful night in 1923, a passenger train derailed under mysterious circumstances, claiming the lives of all aboard. Since then, sightings of a ghostly train matching the description of the ill-fated locomotive have been reported by night workers, homeless individuals, and curious thrill-seekers drawn to the allure of the unknown. One such seeker was Marcus Lee, a freelance journalist with a penchant for the paranormal. Marcus had spent months researching urban legends across the Midwest, but none intrigued him as much as the Midnight Train. Determined to separate fact from fiction, he decided to stake out one of the rumored routes, a stretch of rusted rails hidden beneath the city's elevated highways. Armed with a high-definition camera, a flashlight, and a thermos of coffee, Marcus settled into his makeshift observation post, a crumbling platform that once served bustling commuters. As the clock struck 12, the air grew heavy, and an unnatural silence fell over the area. Moments later, a distant rumble echoed through the tunnels, growing louder with each passing second. From the darkness emerged the train, its headlights dim and flickering, casting eerie shadows along the walls. The locomotive was a relic of another era, its paint peeling and windows clouded with grime. Yet, it moved with an uncanny smoothness, as if guided by an unseen hand. Marcus's camera captured every detail as he cautiously approached the train. The doors creaked open, revealing interiors bathed in a sickly green hue. Rows of passengers sat motionless, their faces pale and expressionless, staring blankly ahead. Despite the chill in the air, Marcus felt beads of sweat forming on his brow. Summoning his courage, he stepped aboard, the camera trembling in his grip. Inside, the atmosphere was suffocating. The air smelled of damp earth and something metallic, akin to blood. The whispers began softly, almost imperceptible, but soon swelled into a chorus of anguished voices. Marcus recognized fragments of phrases, pleas for help, cries of despair, all spoken in languages he couldn't understand. The camera footage shows him backing away, his breath coming in shallow gasps, as the train began to move without warning. The journey lasted only minutes, but to Marcus, it felt like an eternity. The train sped through tunnels that seemed to stretch infinitely, the walls adorned with cryptic symbols that pulsed with faint light. At one point, the camera captures a fleeting glimpse of the conductor, a gaunt figure cloaked in shadows, his eyes glowing with an otherworldly intensity. Marcus's narration becomes frantic, his voice breaking as he describes the sensation of being pulled toward the front of the train, as though an invisible force sought to claim him. The ordeal ends abruptly as the train screeches to a halt. The doors slam shut, and Marcus finds himself back on the platform, alone and disoriented. The footage cuts to black as he collapses, the camera falling from his grasp. When he regained consciousness hours later, the train was gone, leaving behind only the faint scent of smoke and the lingering echo of its horn. Marcus's account, corroborated by the chilling footage, has since fueled countless debates among paranormal enthusiasts. Some believe the midnight train is a vessel for lost souls, condemned to relive their final moments in an endless loop. Others argue it is a manifestation of collective grief, a spectral reminder of the tragedy that befell its passengers. Regardless of the interpretation, the story of the midnight train serves as a haunting testament to the enduring power of the past, and the thin veil that separates the living from the dead. Threads of the unseen, patterns in the shadows as we sift through the harrowing narratives of Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum, Route 60, Cheat Lake Cabin, and the enigmatic shadow at the Whispering Woods. A tapestry of eerie consistencies begins to emerge, weaving a complex pattern of supernatural phenomena. These stories, disparate in location and circumstance, share uncanny similarities that beckon us to look deeper into the nature of these haunting encounters. Firstly, the element of auditory disturbances manifests prominently across these accounts. From the whispering voices that plagued Sarah on Route 60 to the chilling whispers captured in the corridors of Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum, sound plays a critical role in escalating the tension and unease. These auditory phenomena not only unsettle the witnesses but also serve as precursors to more tangible manifestations, suggesting a methodical escalation typical of intelligent hauntings. Visual anomalies form another thread connecting these tales. The ghostly apparitions seen through Hiroshi's camera at Akake Apartments, and the shadowy figure that stalked the Carter family are indicative of a spectral presence capable of interacting with our physical world. These visual cues are not random but appear to target specific locations and individuals, hinting at a conscious, albeit non-corporeal, intent behind these manifestations. Furthermore, the technological interference observed, from the malfunctioning ride controls of the vortex to the inexplicable camera glitches in the Carter home, points to a sophisticated manipulation of electromagnetic fields by these entities. This manipulation suggests a level of intelligence and purpose, reinforcing the theory that these are not mere echoes of the past but active, sentient forces attempting to communicate or influence their environments. Moreover, the psychological impact on the witnesses cannot be overlooked. Each account details a profound transformation in the mental state of those involved, from initial skepticism to overwhelming dread. This psychological shift is crucial as it indicates the entity's ability to affect human emotions and perceptions, further blurring the line between the physical and the metaphysical realms. Lastly, the geographical dispersion of these incidents, from the remote forests of upstate New York to the bustling streets of Tokyo and the suburban tranquility of Portland, raises intriguing questions about the universality of such phenomena. Are these isolated incidents, or do they represent a broader spectrum of supernatural activity occurring globally? The recurrence of similar themes and effects across diverse settings suggests a universal element to these encounters, possibly linked to human consciousness or the inherent properties of certain locations. In synthesizing these observations, we begin to see a framework of supernatural behavior that transcends individual stories. These shared characteristics not only validate the experiences of the witnesses but also provide a foundation for further exploration into the mechanisms and motivations of these mysterious entities. As we continue to gather and analyze such cases, the patterns become clearer, drawing us closer to understanding the enigmatic forces that dwell in the shadows of our reality. The lingering shadows, confronting the unseen. As we draw this chilling journey to a close, let us pause to reflect on the profound implications of the stories we've explored. These harrowing encounters, etched into the annals of recorded history through grainy footage, distorted audio, and fragmented memories, are more than mere curiosities. They are stark reminders that the boundaries of our understanding are far more permeable than we dare to admit. The supernatural, whether it manifests as ghostly apparitions, shadowy figures, or malevolent forces, challenges the very foundations of what we consider reality. It forces us to confront the uncomfortable truth that there are dimensions beyond our perception, realms where the rules of logic and physics dissolve into the unknowable. These documented events serve as undeniable proof that the unseen is not merely a figment of imagination or a product of overactive minds. They compel us to reevaluate our relationship with the spaces we inhabit, the tools we use, and even the technology we rely on. Consider the cameras that capture these phenomena, devices designed to record the tangible, yet they have inadvertently become portals to the intangible. The footage from Blackwood Asylum, Route 47, Alcacabe Apartments, and the shadow at 1428 Maple Street does more than document the supernatural. It invites us to question the limitations of human perception. Are these anomalies glitches in our reality? Or are they deliberate attempts by otherworldly entities to bridge the gap between their world and ours? Yet, the implications of these encounters extend far beyond the individual stories themselves. Collectively, they paint a picture of a universe teeming with mysteries that defy explanation. Each incident, whether rooted in sorrow, tragedy, or malevolence, suggests a connection between the living and the dead, the seen and the unseen. The whispers in the asylum, the phantom hitchhiker on the desolate road, the cursed lens of Hiroshi's camera, and the shadow that stalked the Carter family, all of these point to a shared truth, that the past is never truly gone, and the spirits of those who came before may linger, tethered to places, objects, or even emotions. This realization carries a weight that extends beyond fear. It speaks to the enduring bonds between humanity and the metaphysical, urging us to approach the unknown with both caution and reverence. But what does this mean for us, the observers, the storytellers, and the seekers of truth? It means that we must embrace the uncertainty. The supernatural, by its very nature, resists definition. To study it is to wade into waters where science falters and faith takes root. Yet, it is precisely this ambiguity that makes the pursuit worthwhile. Each unanswered question, each unexplained phenomenon, is an invitation to explore further, to dig deeper into the archives of the unexplained, to listen to the whispers of the past, and to peer into the shadows that dance just beyond the edge of our vision. For those who dare to venture into this realm, the rewards are manifold. The thrill of discovery, the satisfaction of piecing together fragments of the unknown, and the profound sense of awe that comes from brushing against the edges of the inexplicable, all of these make the pursuit of the supernatural a journey worth undertaking. Whether you are a skeptic seeking evidence, or a believer yearning for validation, the stories we've shared today remind us that the search for truth is rarely linear. It is messy, unpredictable, and often unsettling, but it is also deeply human. So, as we leave the shadows behind, for now, we invite you to carry the torch of curiosity. Question the world around you. Listen closely to the stories of those who have faced the unknown. And remember, the next time you pick up a camera, switch on a recorder, or even walk down a dimly lit street, you might just capture something that defies explanation. Because in the end, the supernatural is not merely a subject of fascination, it is a call to wonder, to explore, and to embrace the infinite possibilities that lie just beyond the veil. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the unseen. Until next time, stay curious, stay brave, and never stop questioning the shadows.